Second meeting of the Caroline County Board of Supervisors to order. I apologize for the late start again. Let the record state that all board members are present. Mr. Reggie Underwood representing Reedy Church, Mr. Bobby Popowitz representing Port Royal, Mr. Jeff Seeley representing Bowling Green, Wayne Akers representing Madison, and I'm Floyd Thomas representing the Mattaponi District. I have asked Mr. Popowitz if he would deliver the invocation for us, please.
Sure. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I want to ask you today to give us the best guidance that you can. Help us through these tough decisions as we move forward to the business of the county, and also be with those that are defending our country abroad and here at home. For all these things, we pray. Amen.
Amen. And I want to, before we do our next item of business is usually the Pledge of Allegiance. But at this point, I'm going to ask, thank you very much. I'm going to ask Gregory Martin Jr. if he will come forward. I'm not going to waste that fancy uniform. Okay, young Mr. Martin, if you would, well, I'll take a second. You know, Mom, she's really proud. I wanted you, if you will, because you're our first order of business for the most part, but I wanted to ask you if you would lead the county in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. You will have a seat right next to, that is your mom, right? Okay, you'll have a seat right there. We will be right with you in just a second. I don't think we had any amendments to the agenda, Mr. Parton, did we?
Mr. Chairman, could we add one item on the closed meeting, section 2.1-311A1, personnel, dealing with the advertisement of the county administrator?
Okay, we didn't have any amendments that you gave us.
A couple quick points, if I may, Mr. Chairman. One would be if we could ask that we add a resolution for Harry Fells Jr. to the consent agenda as item 4G, and also a resolution for the National Sexual Assault Awareness Month as item 4H, and we would also ask that we remove the minutes from the consent agenda.
Okay. Changes from the county administrator and staff: remove item A from consent, add a resolution for Mr. Harry Fells, who recently passed, and the proclamation for National Sexual Assault Awareness Month in April to the consent agenda. And Mr. Akers, you want to add section A1 personnel?
Yes.
To the closed meeting. Where's my lawyer? I need to add, Mr. Wilson, would you know the section for a business that has not yet been announced?
Not by heart, sir.
Okay, well, we're going to add the section for business that has not yet been announced as one of those, and when the, I thought it was A5, that sounds right, but we're going to clarify that before we go into executive session. So those are the changes. Any other changes? If there are.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Akers, seconded by Mr. Popowitz. All those, discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That motion carries. Opening board comments. Mr. Underwood, any comments?
I think I've made enough, Mr. Chairman.
There's always time.
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Akers?
No, sir, I'm okay.
Okay, and I have none. That takes us to agenda item number 1, which is a resolution recognizing Gregory William Martin Jr. upon being named an Eagle Scout. Whereas Gregory William Martin Jr. is a freshman at Caroline High School and the son of Gregory and Lynn Martin of Ladysmith, and whereas he was presented the Eagle Scout Award at the Eagle Court of Honor on March 20th, 2011 at the Madison Rorton Club, whereas Mr. Martin has been scouting since the 1st grade as a Tiger Cub has attended summer camps, participated in community service projects, and worked diligently to earn 50 merit badges. And whereas, as an Eagle Scout project, he took the initiative to improve a wooded area at the Madison Ruritan Club and transformed it into a picnic area by clearing trees, grading land, laying weed fabric, mulching the area, refurbishing picnic tables, relocating a fire pit, installing a walkway, and planting flowers to be enjoyed by everyone. And whereas the County of Caroline wishes to recognize Mr. Martin for his contributions or for his accomplishments and his contributions to the county, now therefore be it resolved that the Caroline County Board of Supervisors hereby congratulates Gregory William Martin Jr. upon being named an Eagle Scout and expresses its appreciation for his hard work and initiative that have made a difference in his community. Is there a motion to adopt that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion to adopt has been made by Mr. Akers, seconded unanimously by the rest of the board. Mr. Martin, if you will come forward, please. You can come up here. Well, come forward with you. First of all, do you have anything you'd like to say? Is he this quiet at home? Is he this quiet at home?
No.
It's been a great honor. It's been a great honor to be a scout in Caroline County, and I did represent one of two in the 2010 National Scout Jamboree here in Fort A.P. Hill. I'm also attending the 2011 World Scout Jamboree over in Rinkeby, Sweden, representing Caroline County over there as well. I'd just like to thank my mom, my parents, everyone who else that has helped me get to this point today.
Okay. Okay, now for austerity, we're going to have to come over here and take a picture. Mark, this is yours. We're going to have to give it to you. Congratulations. Mom, you want to come up closer?
Go ahead. Come on up, it's
lunch now. Okay. All right, it's 6:30. What we said we were going to do was we were going to make sure we took care of the Eagle Scout presentation, and then we were going to take a quick dinner break because we had the work session at 5. So we will try to take a quick half-an-hour break, be back, and we will continue with agenda item number 2, which is a presentation by Robinson Farmer Cox for the budget, and our VDOT folks, 6-year plan, report from the redistricting committee, and if the board will indulge us, I'm going to move the sheriff's vehicle replacement policy up to reports. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back, hopefully at 7 o'clock. So we'll stand adjourned. All right, we will reconvene the March 22nd Caroline County Board of Supervisors meeting. Agenda item number 2 is our presentation of the fiscal year 2009-2010 audit from Robinson Farmer Cox.
Good evening.
How are you?
My name is Ann Wall, and I'm a partner in the Richmond office of Robinson Farmer Cox Associates, and it's my pleasure to be here tonight to talk to you a little bit about the county's annual financial report for the year ended June 30th, 2010. Local governments are required to have an audit conducted each year. It's a state law required under the Code of Virginia. It's required under the Single Audit Act, which governs your federal dollars, and it's certainly a good business practice. The county's audit has been conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and generally accepted accounting principles. This report was submitted to the Auditor of Public Accounts in the comparative cost report forms in accordance with the November 30th deadline. This report's also been filed with the DEQ as part of your landfill financial assurance and the single audit clearinghouse. Included within the audit document are 3 opinions from your auditors. Page 1, the county received an unqualified opinion on your financial statement presentation. That means that the financial statements in this 132-page document, plus the 11-page introductory section, are materially correct and presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. There's 2 other opinions that we're required to issue as part of the engagement, and they're in the back of the report, and they have to do with our consideration of your internal controls and the compliance under the requirements of OMB Circular A-133, which governs your federal program dollars. And those opinions were clean as well. The presentation of the report is the same as it's been in the last several years in terms of the organization, the introductory section, financial, statistical, and compliance. The cooperation that we received from the various departments and staff during the course of our field work was very professional. We work a lot with the finance department, the treasurer's office, the school board personnel, social services, commissioner of revenue, utilities department, and others. We did propose a handful of adjusting entries. We come in preliminary, and I think we proposed some then, and then we come in final in the fall. We proposed some adjusting entries, and they were posted to the county's general ledger to allow the county's year-end financial reports to really mirror this financial document. So that really is quite an accomplishment, that this really is not just an auditor's report, it's the county's financial report, and you can go to the county's general ledger if you wanted to know where any of these numbers came from, and all the support is right there in your accounting system. This speaks well to the interim financial reports that the county receives and to the general good work of the departments responsible for drafting the financial statements. While auditing standards, we drafted this financial report from your records, and auditing standards do not require that localities draft their financial statements. They do require that you designate an individual with suitable skill and knowledge to oversee our services and to review and approve and accept responsibility for these financial statements, the footnotes, and the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. This report was reviewed internally prior to its release. Portions of this report were drafted internally by your finance department At the front of the report is a transmittal letter. There's something called a management's discussion and analysis, which is really a analytical review of kind of where you were last year and where you are this year. And then their statistical section in the back was drafted internally as well. I want to report to you that we didn't encounter any difficulties in dealing with management or any others during the course of performing our field work. There actually were no new accounting standards that were effective this year. The federal stimulus money really dominated a lot of the work that we had to do because it really is a risk-based approach into determining which federal programs had to be audited. All the federal programs that were audited as major in this particular fiscal year did have Recovery Act money associated with them. We did issue a management letter at the conclusion of the audit relative to some internal control recommendations, very specific regarding segregation of duties in some areas and looking for a little bit more oversight in some areas. And I believe corrective action is already in place in those areas that we identified. I believe this report has been posted on the county's website. And that really concludes my comments, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions regarding the audit? Okay, you said the basic thing, there were no issues that the firm identified as problem areas. The entire bookkeeping was considered clean with no problem? It
was clean. If it had been a material weakness or a significant deficiency, it would be in this big 132-page document. We did have a few internal control recommendations, which are external to this document, and that's what I was referring to. But no, the opinions were clean. The work that we did was unqualified opinions, resulted in those.
Anything we need to change?
Just relative to the internal control recommendations that we made, but again, they've been discussed, and I think you're in a good place relative to those.
Thank you. Mr. Akers, have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. In the past, we've heard discussion and people saying that the county had creative financing practices and things of that nature. The auditors did not find any of those types of things to take place in our accounting process.
No, sir, not at all. And actually, the most technical thing in getting everything processed in this report really is relative to the debt refundings and just making sure that those are recorded properly. And that's why we come in and work with Ms. Hatcher in preliminary work and try to get all the reports from Davenport to see if we can get all that recorded properly at that point, and then we take another look at it again when we come back in final. But no, it's properly recorded in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles.
And the debt refunding you're talking about is when we were actually financing a long-term project at a higher interest rate, and then we refinanced it and got basically money back theoretically.
That is correct. And for financial reporting purposes, we need to make sure that we show that correctly in the audit report. And in our opinion, it is reported correctly.
Okay. One last question, I think. How many other counties, municipalities does Robinson Farmer Cox represent in the Commonwealth? Ballparkish.
Well, I'll just, probably about 70 firm-wide.
Okay.
Our office in Richmond, we do 23 local governments that have to present a comparative cost report each year to the Auditor of Public Accounts.
Okay. So you have vast experience, so it's not like this is your first time. You've done it for the county for several years.
Yes, sir.
If you'd have seen any problem, you would have let us know.
That's our job. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, and now from our report from the folks from VDOT.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How you
are
doing?
today?
Good to see you all again. My name is Rodney White. I'm the Director of Transportation and Land Use with VDOT. I was here before you back in January, introduced to you all as your new county liaison, so I look forward to working with each and every one of you all. You may have been provided a copy of the VDOT report for Caroline County. I'd like to brief you on those items just to make you aware of some of the things that's taking place here in your county. First item, Mr. Akers inquired about whether the through truck restrictions have been posted on Dry Bridge Road. Those signs have been posted, and we are looking at adding some additional signage on a few additional roads to give advance warning notice, so that should be done very soon. Mr. Popowitz reported that the Route 606 CSX crossing has yet to be repaired. We have been in contact with CSX and requested a meeting. We met with them to address them making some temporary repairs because they own those tracks. We cannot make those repairs. And they informed us that they will make some minor repairs, but they are looking to make permanent repairs by the end of April, sometime in May.
Do those repairs include a cement crossing?
We are exploring that avenue with them right now. Their plan is to repair it with asphalt at the present time, but we are exploring some cost estimates with them to try to see if we can look further into doing something along those lines.
Yeah. And the reason I asked is, I don't know if were you down there actually yourself?
To visit the site?
Yeah.
Yes, I have been through.
Yeah. They put some stone in there this, I guess, last week.
Yes, sir.
But right before that, we had a bicyclist, like there were 15 bicycles running across there. One of the bicyclists ran into that hole, ended up flipping over on his bike, almost hurt himself. And we had another lady that got her hit that particular hole and get stuck in between the two gates. And you may want to let them know there was a train coming because she stopped because of that. And then we had another guy that hit that and veered off and almost hit another car.
I understand.
And then that was witnessed by our fire chief down at Company 6. So I've had a few calls about it.
Okay.
And it's dangerous, and I think you could probably concur with that.
And I can report, we rode through there this evening before coming to the board meeting. They have patched it with asphalt, so they have repaired those areas at least with asphalt at the present time.
Okay.
So we'll have witnessed that today.
Okay. So they did that today then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I appreciate that.
No problem. Next item, Mr. Thomas, he inquired about advance notification for any road work that's being done, as has been reported to our construction manager, and in the future we will try to make that contact to make notification to the county.
Mr. White, you probably don't know, but just by coincidence, I happened to run into the commissioner Friday, and he assured me that that would not happen again. And you have assured me it would not happen again, and I do appreciate it. I think we've done a very good job making sure we're at least aware. One thing that I neglected to tell you before in your initial report is this gas station going this way, and now I'm drawing a brain cramp. It used to be a Chevron, what is it, I think a Phillips 66? It's like a quarter, go, thank you. It's half a mile away from here going back towards Bowling Green. There is a turn in the median that allows you to cut in when you're going towards Bowling Green to make a left turn to go in.
Okay.
That median cutout is not long enough to actually make a correct left turn into the gas station. What ends up happening is a lot of people will make a left turn and they'll kind of go diagonal, which I've heard, according to police, is going the wrong direction on a one-way street. So is there any way we can possibly extend that median purely as a safety concern?
We can take a look at that. I can return and get with staff and see if we can take a look and see what possibly could be done. And we can report back.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next item, Mr. Rozelle, at the last meeting asked would there be, make sure they're planned shoulder work and correct the low shoulders on Route 30 between the fairgrounds and Route 301. Maintenance staff informed me that the shoulder paving and guardrail upgrades are moving forward. They have started some of the work in that area, and it will extend from Route 301 to where it ties into the existing paved shoulders. So some of that work has begun, and hopefully we'll be finished by no later than the end of summer, but we'll continue to work on that, schedule permits. Just touch base on a couple of construction projects. Route 652 intersection project, permanent striping cannot be installed until temperatures increase, and we're starting to get some warmer weather, so that should be done sooner. And then once the permanent striping is completed, the project will be closed out. Bridge joint rehab work, this is occurring district-wide. Construction is to begin in the spring of 2011, sometime soon, and then contract completion is November 21st, 2011, so hopefully that'll wrap up pretty quickly. Preliminary engineering, they reported that on Ladysmith Road, Route 639, survey work is complete and design is beginning, and then projects are moving into right-of-way phase. There's 3 bridge projects in your area, Route 644, Route 600, and Route 207. Traffic engineering, they reported that the through truck restriction for Route 610 VDOT has received a resolution and the public hearing transcript, and that we are forwarding it down to central office for further review. It takes a little bit longer because they have to do some traffic data analysis and observe the operations of those routes, and then they will report back. It's a process that takes about 9 months. So as soon as we get those results, we will report back to you all. The left turn lane on Route 207 westbound at the McDonald's. The request has been forwarded to traffic engineering to analyze that location to see if something could be done to help in that area. Maintenance projects, touched on this with Mr. Popowitz. VDOT has said that they will look at that 606 CSX crossing and with the maintenance staff, and they have verbally agreed to make the repairs by the end of April, May timeframe. So we'll continue to monitor that. We're doing some other maintenance activities, bridge cleaning, that's being district-wide, and we have an ad going out for June 2011 to get those projects completed. Area headquarters in Ladysmith, they're doing some hand trimming, brush work in the area, shoulder repairs is needed on primary rights, and mechanical trimming on sites that have to be cleared and logged. There's doing also some little pickup in the area wide in the area for that area headquarters. Farmers, they're doing some repair work and grade work on Route 623 for erosion concerns. They're removing fallen trees in various locations, repair drainage issues area wide, and they're cutting some brush in areas to clean those areas up. And in the land use section, that's the section that I manage, we wanted to give you a report that we received a total of 7 planned projects that we have under review. 1 was site plan, and then we're also reviewing 6 plats from the area, from the locality. And then for the total year, we reviewed 17 total, 5 site plans, 12 plats, and then we have some active permits where industry or development has come in and wanted to do permit work and get permits to do construction to the VDOT right away. And again, I'm the county liaison. If you have any further questions, I'll be more than happy to try to address, or if not, report back on those items.
Okay. Mr. White, thank you very much. And
No problem.
and again, please express my appreciation to Mr. Worley when you see him again, if
No
you do.
problem.
And I understand I've been quite honest about my opinions of VDOT in the past, and I just wanted to make sure you express to Mr. Worley the county's deepest appreciation. He's done a great job, and from what I understand, freeing up about $600 million in maintenance money.
Okay.
That's now going to be used, so we do appreciate that.
We'll report.
Trust me, my car lineman appreciates that.
I understand.
So thank you very much. Any other questions? Mr. Underwood, who you didn't know, has replaced Mr. Roselle.
Okay.
So he's the Reedy Church District
Good to see you.
representative now. Any other questions from the board? Mr. Seeley has questions, and then Mr. Akers has questions.
Okay.
Mr. White, some time ago when I came to the board, we were looking at the Sparta Bridge down on 721, right there at the fire station. Just curious if we're still on the bridge replacement program for that, and if we have any idea where we are on the list.
I don't have that information with me.
I understand. I'm just
but I
going to
can follow up.
put it back on your list. And,
Okay.
And since Mr. Thomas was asking about the golf cutaway, I had some folks ask me about the Liberty cutaway into White Pines, because they've got a similar situation. If that was extended about 50 feet, they'd be able to pull into that subdivision instead of going all the way around. For
Okay.
years, they cut through the gas station and went across, and that's been sort of had been nixed. So if we could look at if there's any potential of actually extending that, and that's right here on Route 301, a little further south of the Golf Station cutaway as well. It's right in front of the Liberty, just past the Liberty gas station, right at the Liberty gas station
Okay.
on 301.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. White,
Yes, sir.
I appreciate VDOT cleaning the ditches and widening some of the ditches, but in the process, what has happened, they have created a situation whereas some of the soil that was around trees that were on the banks, they have taken some of the soil away, and the trees are starting to lean over Route 639, which is Ladysmith Road from Ladysmith toward Charlesburg. Could you have the guys over at the Ladysmith headquarters check that out, because a couple of the trees, I was through there just